Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Neverwinter Nights, Hordes of the Underdark. Welcome back to the Let's Play. My hiatus sitting around playing Dark Souls for a good long while, Dark Souls 3 in particular, is over. I've dragged myself away from that game, excellent though it may be, and been playing a little bit of Ori and the Blind Forest. That was dramatic. And you know, I think I've been away from doing Let's Plays for long enough now that I'm a little bit excited to come back to this. One thing I should mention is that I did record this episode earlier today, but I had some recording issues, and so I'm having to repeat this section. But that will mean that we can get through it pretty quick. So I think there'll just be one episode uploaded today, but more in the future, more coming. Assuming that I'm not too exhausted from work. But, yeah. I think it should all be fine now that my Dark Souls bender is over with. Alright, so what do you have to do with this quest? Well, you have to click on the carved post, and then click on this scrivener, and then go to the next one. It's all pretty arbitrary, and I don't like this quest one bit, I have to say. So you were able to lead it to the right one, it says. So you go, okay, sure. And then let's carry on. The next one we have to go to is, I believe, Dimension, yes. So Treason, Dimension. So clicked on this, now click on this guy. Okay, the right one. Let's carry on. And finally, Infinity. And this appears to be the final stone. Now we get a little bit of a scene. The gates are open. Arabeth de Tilmarand. So this actually is a character from the vanilla Neverwinter Nights campaign. Much like that, what I was calling the D&D party that you encounter early in the game. So this side quest is actually, from what I can gather, wrapping up one of the plot lines from the original Neverwinter Nights campaign. So it's kind of interesting. It would probably have more impact on me if I could remember anything about that campaign. I just remember Neverwinter is in trouble and Nasher wants you to save it. And that's about all I can recall. Alright. So we done good. And we're off to investigate. Here we go into the cave, the frozen cave. And we can see Erebus' spirit down there.
How come Deacon not get to lead for a while?
Well, Deacon, you're the scribe, you're the bard. You're not the leader. Okay, so we can't talk to Arabeth, but if we could click on the campfire, this certainly reminded me a lot of the opening of Dark Souls 3, except we don't use a big sword. Instead we use Velix berries, the ones we picked up earlier. I liked this description here. Ice melts from her face like tears, and her hair clings damply to her brow. For the first time, you realize that she's beautiful. Confused, frightened, and defiant, she attacks. So we have to take on Arabeth. I think I activated defensive stance and then canceled it. She's really not much of a challenge.
Please, I surrender. What's done is done.
Okay.
I am Lady Arabeth de Tilmarand, betrayer of the city of Neverwinter. What is it that you want of me?
Alright. So, I understand you challenged Mephistopheles. So this assume was definitely the lawful good answer. So I'm gonna go with that. So she claims to not be evil, only cynical and jaded and weary of the world. I like this part. Deacon knows when he's got a good story to tell. So I think this was maybe I would take this as more of like a chaotic answer. This is just, kind of a boring answer. And this, I would say, is like the more lawful answer. Like, the contract of marriage is something external to love. Like, you might get married for practical reasons, and that's not necessarily a problem. Unless, of course, you were a worshiper of a goddess of love. But in that case, I kind of doubt you would be lawful in the first place. So you would probably choose this answer. And then you kind of get this bomb, which I was not aware of, because I didn't remember Arabeth at all. A paladin of vanity, a blackguard of denial, they were equal poisons coursing through my veins. So this is certainly a dilemma. And the answer, I believe, for a cleric is a good cleric would be this one. You gotta have faith. So you could say this, but I feel like that's kind of like rationalizing. I think the answer for cleric is this one. So she is going to face the justice of her god, as a paladin should. And she was not found wanting.
Welcome.
And now, we have a paladin in our party. So, that's pretty cool. We're going to go to a fire, and then we'll have a little bit of a look at what Erebeth is all about. Which is quite surprising, actually. So, I guess a little bit of background. I typically would play a paladin in D&D when I was younger. In recent D&D games, I usually have played as a cleric because they're just so strong. Recent D&D games, I should say. They're not really recent anymore, but the more recent ones that I have played, such as Mask of the Betrayer, very old now, much like myself. Alright, so let's have a look at Erebeth. Incredibly, she is a paladin and a blackguard. So I was a little bit shocked when I first saw this. I was like, what? Aren't these things mutually exclusive? I was kind of under the impression that it was a condition of being a blackguard that if you became good again, you would lose your abilities as a blackguard, but I guess the game engine doesn't accommodate that. Yeah, you don't lose your levels as a blackguard, I think, but you lose your abilities. You just... do those just get converted to fighter levels? That's kind of what I was interested in asking. So you can see she's 100 lawful and 85 good. My character is 85 lawful, 93 good. So he's not quite as lawful as her, but then he isn't a paladin either. So she is a creature of law, as would be fitting for a paladin of Tyr, who is a god of justice. So taking a look at her stats, well, she is of course a half-elf, which is... I can barely even remember what that implies. I think you get night vision and maybe elven weapon proficiencies? Let's see, what are her... That's her skills. Weapon proficiencies. Martial and simple and elf. Yeah, she gets elf. And, so she still has her blackguard feats that she can use, such as Summon Fiend, Smite Good, and Sneak Attack. So, interesting. She's Dark Blessing. Interesting combination. I think what we'll do
Yes?
is change her tactics, and I want to tell her not to cast any spells, and I want to tell her to do not use traps, or disable traps. And finally, you just take a quick look at her stats again. She has 18 strength, so that's solid enough. I mean, a little bit lacking at epic levels, but we'll buff that up. She's got 14 constitution. Again, it's mediocre, but she's a paladin. What do you expect? Her wisdom is 13, so she gets a +1 modifier, so it means she's no great shakes as a divine caster. But that doesn't really matter because Lefer Smar is, of course, you know, awesome as a divine caster. And then she's got 22 charisma. She's got +6 mod to charisma rolls. And so what that means is her Smite Evil is going to be fairly strong. So Paladins apply their charisma modifier to their attack roll and their class level to the damage delivered. So she will get +6 to hit against evil enemies, which is pretty good when you're in hell. And she will get +17 to her damage. So it will be, you know, whatever her weapon is, +17 for damage, as far as I understand it. What I'm kind of interested in seeing is whether or not she actually will use Smite Evil if I tell her not to cast spells. Because I don't want her casting divine magic, I just want her to use her paladin skills. Let's see what else she's got. She's got that. So the character may spend one of his turn undead attempts to add his charisma bonus to all weapon damage for a number of rounds equal to the charisma bonus. So that would be, she would add +6, and then using Smite Evil, she could add another +14 to that, right? Or +17 to that, with a +6 to hit. So, you know, it's pretty good when you're in hell to have these things. And then, yeah, charisma bonus to all saving throws, +6 to all saving throws, very strong. This is irrelevant. And create undead. Yeah, I think that's about what's going on with her. She does have Smite Good, but we're never going to use that because we're in hell, and I don't think we're leaving anytime soon. So the good characters in this area are probably just the three of us here. Lefer, Smar, Deacon, and Erebeth. Okay, so let's, oh right, we have to talk to her a little bit. We have to talk to her. We have some matters to discuss.
Yes? What is it?
Okay, so first of all, I seek the fivefold mysteries of Sleeping Man. So we got that last fact, or the last answer we needed. All right. So I said much as I expected, because my character is, you know, he's got a pretty high wisdom score. So I assume he, you know, has some notion of what it might be like to be a spirit. Because this sounds like something an asshole would say. this just seems like facile, like it's obvious, and that seemed like something a quote-unquote wise person might say. Maybe a little bit arrogant, but... So that doesn't sound very good at all. It sounds like being in the depths of depression. The hells can pose no threat to that which is still good in me. So that is paladin-ass way to put things. And I should say, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I used to play paladins a lot, and some people are really down on paladins. Really, really down on paladins. A lot of people do not like paladins. Because they are so inflexible, it kind of makes for problematic role-playing when you're actually playing D&D. But I guess I'm the sort of person who is a little bit, yeah, I've got that kind of dull, lawful personality to some extent, so they don't bother me much. So, this is obviously the wrong answer for Leversmar. The Hells can pose no threat to either of us, or to any of us. That seems really arrogant. You know, maybe a fanatic would say that, but I don't think Leversmar is a fanatic. So he's just gonna say the nice thing. Alright, very good. Alright. And how are you feeling? How was your day? Very good, yes. We're you know, we're well enough. We're sitting here in frozen hell. With no way to go back and save Waterdeep at the present moment. But, yeah, things could be better, things could be worse. And that is enough of this discussion. And that's it. Okay, so let's be on our way. And we're gonna go find the sleeping man. Now that we have the last answer.
You are welcome here. Very well. Let us see if you are ready. Answer me, pilgrim. Who is the sleeping man? Yes, his is a pure soul with no trace of pride or vice or vengeance. In following him, we take on his beneficence. Now answer me, pilgrim. From where did he come? That he does. Elysium is a place of beauty and peace and perfection. Yet he turned his back on it and never returned, choosing instead to roam the plains. So answer me, pilgrim. Why did he leave? He knew that without passion we are nothing, and thus he journeyed many years in search of his true love. His journey brought him here, to the frozen wastes of Kanya. Answer me, Pilgrim. Who did he seek?
It's interesting that she says, without passion we are nothing. That doesn't seem like a very Githzerai thing to say, but I guess she's a little bit unusual for a Githzerai.
The Noahs ruled this plane before the Betazu claimed it as their hell. In his wisdom, the sleeping man asked simply where his true love would be found. Tell me, Pilgrim, what was the answer?
So, interestingly, this plane was not previously a part of the Hells, I guess. It was probably drawn into their orbit. One thing about Planescape is that the planes are a little bit changeable and can be modified according to beliefs or that sort of change. So at one point, this was maybe not a hell.
So he returned here to the gates, content in the knowledge that she would find him. Weary from his journeys, he fell asleep. That was all long, long ago, but still he waits here, dreaming of his true love. You have mastered the fivefold mysteries of the sleeping man, Pilgrim. When you enter his chambers, wear this crystal around your neck. It will help you see his dreams.
Alright, thank you. Let us be on our way. So this is interesting. I don't really know why these hands are here. Like Big B's crushing hand.
Excuse me, but before we go any further, do you feel it? The sleeping man. He exudes goodness. It's like being young again. Like being back in the temple in Neverwinter. Like being alive. You can feel it, can't you?
Very good. So we can examine the sleeping man. He is alive and he is breathing. And let's use the Sensei's amulet. Of course, we are going to pass this roll because we have enough wisdom, I think. So, rulership over the 8th hell. So this is not going to go well for the rebels. So they're generals on the devil side of the blood war and high-ranking ones at that. So we are in the devil's realm, more or less. So this is kind of a civil war sort of situation. So one among the rebels knew that this was treason, or there was treason afoot. So Mephistopheles played his opponents in order to seize power. It's interesting that they say he seems younger. I mean, do demon lords age? That seems a little bit strange to me, but I don't know. I guess psychologically, maybe his psychological character is displayed in his appearance. Maybe he was a little bit brash and not as experienced as he is now. It's pretty metal. And the important character is this woman in white. Don't fall in love with a devil lord. Seems like a pretty obvious idea. So, as we heard about in the dialogue with the sensei, the knower of names, the knowers were the previous rulers of this plane. So the knower of names is probably buried in one of these pits still. So maybe the Reaper didn't exist at the time that this happened, or before the sleeping man went to sleep. And that is one hell of a way to get dumped. Sends her hurtling through the starless sky, a flaming comet headed for the furthest wastes of Kania. If you really want to break up with someone in a dramatic fashion, learn their true name and send them hurtling through the starless sky like a flaming comet. So, the sleeping man found the knower of places in his quest to find his love. So he gives the clever answer, or the clever question, I should say. So don't ask where the person you're seeking is, ask where it is that you will meet them. Much more effective. No way you're going to miss them. And then we get the last answer of the 5 questions that we had to find answers to earlier. So find you by the gates of Kania. And the city has been built up around the place where he has come to rest. So maybe we have to get this ring. Seems possible. Alright. So we can leave. We've done what we need to do with the sleeping man. And I'm going to cut it here. So, I will see you next time, and we will go through the astral door.